Okay guys, look, I know that we're on a drive to work, but we're also on a drive to learn, we're on a drive to live, we're on a drive to play. So I'm going to cut it short here. If you really want to know about the recession and what we can do about it, come across the way, a couple of blocks down that way at 7 o'clock tonight. Really what I want to tell you in just a couple of minutes is this recession that we're going through is the worst that we've been through since the 1930s. It parallels the depth of, it's like we just drove off of a cliff. Imagine this, 6 months ago we're driving a leased convertible, top down, sun shining, we're driving along, everything's looking fantastic. There's some dude in the back that's saying, hey, watch out for that transport truck coming out that way. He can see, because he's been sitting up at the top, and he should have had a seatbelt on, and he can see this transport truck coming our way, and it careens us as it goes careering off the cliff, and we get pushed pretty damn close to it. Looks like we're getting pushed off that cliff right now, and all these bankers on Bay Street want us to believe there are green shoots springing up around the car wreck at this moment. Well, those green shoots may be springing up because it's spring, and they might be shooting up for them, but it could be dandelions. It may not be life-sustaining plants that are growing up right now. We need to be talking about how do we create not just a V-shaped recovery so we go down into the ditch and come careening right out the other side, because that's not what's going to happen. We need to talk about how we get out of this hole, which was not sustainable in the first place. That car was leased, we didn't have the money for it, and it is a wreck now. So how are we going to make sure we get from point A to point B, having fun, enjoying one another, but actually having the type of jobs that sustain us? So let me just say one other thing about what we can do to protect ourselves right now. Tonight I'm going to talk about what we're going to do to actually build a platform for our lives together that's more sustainable. But right now I want to say, at no point in our economic history since the 1930s have we been more exposed in our lives. Never has our debt-to-income ratio been higher. There's more households facing household debt, high record levels of household debt, than at any other point in our lives. Our personal savings rates as a country are down at the levels they were at in the late 1930s. And our UI system, the system we put into place as a result of the Great Depression, because we didn't want to rely on local relief programs, it's at the level it was in 1942, the year it was implemented. Can we do better? You bet your booty we could do better. The last recession, I mean, Melinda was saying it now takes 250 hours or thereabouts to get into the EI system. Sorry, 500 hours or thereabouts to get into the EI system now. In the 1991 recession, it took about 250 hours to get in, half. And in the 1980 recession, it was about 160 hours to get into the system. We need to make this system work for the majority who lose their jobs. But it isn't just about protecting people that have lost their jobs. It's also making sure that those kids that are sitting on the steps over there, when they finish their schooling and they play by all the rules, they've got their education and working hard, that they're doing better than the minimum wage, that they've got more control over their working hours, that they don't have to wait for 12 years to get a permanent full-time job because the only jobs that are available are casual and on-call. So we can do better not only to protect people when they lose their jobs, but when we create jobs, we actually create jobs that are living and sustaining and help us enjoy not just being a worker, God knows that's important, but being a whole person, where you got a life beyond work. And as an economist, I cannot enforce this more. The root of the word economy is not what happens to the banks. It's not what happens to the markets. It's what do we do in our households? How do we govern the affairs of our households? That's where the word oikos comes from. The root of economy is about how do we make the choices for our lives, our whole lives. How we spend our time getting paid, how we spend our time taking care of one another. And so the economy is about a whole lot more than just making money. Of course that part has to work, but it's about how we take care of one another. So let's get together tonight at 7 o'clock and talk about how we're going to make this thing work, because it's not just about getting back to where we were on the highway in 2007. It's about creating a whole new highway that we're going to drive down. That drive to work is not just about working, it's not just about learning, it's not just about living, it's about being together in a whole new way, a brand new car. And you know what? There's more of us than there are of them.